episodes. That's all it took for Baelor to feel like the moral center of this world. And then suddenly, he's gone. Baelor's death doesn't just remove a character, it removes the illusion of justice with him, because justice here was never structural, it was personal, and personal things can be removed. When Baelor steps into that field, we still believe in justice, not because the system deserves our trust, because he does. That distinction matters more than we realize. We don't believe in institutions, we believe in people, and Baelor isn't just a prince, he's a psychological anchor, a quiet hope we all carry. If the right person holds power, maybe power can be redeemed. In the 1960s, psychologist Melvin Lerner described something called the just world hypothesis, the idea that we need to believe the world is fundamentally fair, that good people are rewarded, that morality eventually pays off. This isn't naive optimism, it's cognitive survival, because if morality doesn't influence outcomes, if virtue doesn't matter, then the entire structure of how we make moral decisions begins to shake. So the mind protects itself. It tells stories. It reframes injustice. It insists order exists. Baelor is that story made flesh. He is rational in a violent world, measured in a culture of blood, inside power, but not consumed by it. As long as he stands, we can say, see, the system isn't completely broken. It's the same illusion we had with Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. Gotham was corrupt, but Dent was clean, the White Knight. Proof that goodness could survive inside rot, but Gotham didn't reform. It swallowed him. Westeros doesn't even wait that long. Dent lives long enough to fall apart. Baelor doesn't get that luxury. He isn't corrupted. He is erased. And that erasure is the point. Baelor's death isn't tragic because he was good, it's tragic because he was proof that maybe the structure could be corrected from within, and when he falls, something inside us falls with him, because suddenly we realize something uncomfortable. The system was never leaning on virtue, we were. If justice depends on a single good man, then justice was never structural, it was personal, fragile, temporary. And when Baelor hits the ground, the illusion breaks. Not loudly, quietly. And that's why this scene lingers. Episode 5 doesn't just kill a character, it dismantles our last mental defense for believing institutions can self-correct. Justice doesn't die in the field, our belief in how justice works does. And that is far more disturbing. Baelor's death is shocking, but what comes after it is even more disturbing. The trial doesn't stop. No one steps forward and says, wait, maybe this is wrong. The system doesn't hesitate, not even for a second, as if it doesn't matter that one of the most honourable men in the field just fell. And right there, episode 5 pulls back the curtain. This structure was never built to discover truth, it was built to continue. If justice were truly the goal, Baelor's death should have shattered everything. It should have created doubt. It should have stopped the ritual, but the ritual completes. And that's the shift. Justice here is not a moral value. It is a mechanism of order. When Max Weber speaks about traditional legitimacy, he describes exactly this. Power doesn't need to justify itself. It only needs to say, it has always been this way, and that becomes enough. In that kind of system, truth is replaced by tradition. Something is valid not because it is right, but because it is repeated. This isn't just Westeros. History is full of this pattern. In Stalin's show trials, everything looked formal. Judges, witnesses, confessions. The verdict was already decided. During the French Revolution, the guillotine fell in the name of justice, but often it was consolidating power and managing fear. The law can be perfectly executed and still be profoundly unjust, because sometimes its purpose is not truth, its purpose is survival. And there's a cinematic mirror to this. The Dark Knight Rises, Bane's tribunals, they look like courts. They sound like courts, but they are theatre. Everyone knows the outcome. Yet because the ritual is performed, society can pretend order exists. Westeros is more dangerous. It performs the same spectacle, but under tradition. Violence doesn't scream, it is legitimate. You can't even tell where the performance begins, because it arrived dressed as ritual. Psychologically, This speaks to something deeper. We fear uncertainty. The need for cognitive closure tells us we prefer a definite answer, even an incomplete one, over ambiguity, because ambiguity creates anxiety. The trial doesn't clarify truth, it produces a result. And once the verdict is spoken, once the ritual concludes, the collective mind exhales. Not because justice happened, because it's finished. And this is the moment justice becomes hollow, when completion replaces rightness. Baelor's death should have broken the wheel. It didn't. The system absorbed him and continued. And that's when you understand. Virtue inside such a structure guarantees nothing. At best, it is irrelevant. At worst, it is removed. This wasn't about fairness. The trial was never designed for fairness. It was performance. Authority wearing the mask of law. And that's what turns Baelor's death from tragedy into revelation. So why did this hit so hard? Why did Baelor's death turn this episode into a 9.8? It's not because it was shocking. Television kills characters all the time. It's not even because he was honourable. We've seen good men die before. It's because this scene doesn't just remove a character, it removes stability. In psychology, there's something called predictive processing. The brain is constantly forecasting what will happen next. It builds models of the world to reduce uncertainty. Baelor was part of that model. He allowed us to predict moral balance. As long as he existed, the system felt navigable. When he dies, the model collapses. And when the brain's prediction fails dramatically, it registers as shock. Not emotional shock, cognitive shock. But that's only the first layer. The second layer is historical. Throughout history, systems have survived the loss of good men. The Roman Republic had reformers. Many were silenced. The structure endured. The French Revolution executed moderates who tried to temper extremism. The guillotine continued. In Stalin's show trials, even loyal insiders were eliminated. The machine kept moving. And every time, the same realization emerged. Institutions are designed to preserve themselves. Not virtue, not fairness, themselves. Baelor's death echoes that pattern. And history makes it feel real, because we've seen this before. But there's a third layer, and this is where it becomes art. Cinema has explored this idea before. In The Dark Knight, Harvey Dent is the White Knight, a symbol that the system can be redeemed from within. When he falls, Batman doesn't expose the truth. He protects the illusion, because society can't function without believing in moral order. The difference? Westeros doesn't protect the illusion. It exposes it, brutally. Most television comforts you after destabilizing you. This episode doesn't. It leaves you in the discomfort, and modern audiences reward that. Because we live in a world where institutions rarely collapse when they fail. They adapt. They absorb. They continue. Baelor doesn't die to shock us. He dies to expose us, to show us how much of our faith in justice was resting on a single man. And when he falls, we're forced to confront something far more unsettling. Maybe justice was never structural. Maybe it was always personal. And personal things can be removed. And that is why this scene became a masterpiece.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get up!